Hello, welcome back. My name is Sean D, YouTuber. Today we're going to be talking about One Piece chapter 1044. I really hope you read it already, because if not, I will be spoiling it. So go read the chapter. It's fire. It's 10 out of 10. It's amazing. Go read the chapter, all right? So first off, I want to say that this was one of the first chapters in One Piece that I've ever read the spoilers for, and even reading the spoilers, it still was amazing reading the chapter. It was so fun. It was so cool. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about a few different things. Number one is the cover story, which we're just going to get it out the way real quick. One thing that I wasn't expecting was it looks like the Big Mom Pirates are actually preparing to dissect or sort of experiment on Sanji's brothers, which I didn't expect originally. I didn't really think that they would have any care or reason for doing that until I remembered that part of the reason why Big Mom wanted the Germa allied with her was for their technology. So having two of the, I guess, main super soldiers of the Germa at their disposal is huge, and it might even lead to Big Mom possibly expanding her army or even experimenting on her own kids by now using the properties of Sanji's brothers. I believe it's Niji and Yonji, or Ichiji and Yonji, I can't remember, but that's actually really interesting. So I look forward to seeing what happens with that. Obviously, they probably aren't going to get very far because most people think pudding's going to help them escape. So we'll see what happens. Now, moving on to the chapter. One of the things that I feel like, so first off, let's go over Luffy's abilities, right? And let's just outright say Luffy is not a rubber man. Okay, that is not his fruit. He does not have a paramecia devil fruit. He has a zone, a mythical zone type devil fruit. Hito no Mi model sun god Nika. Now, at first, like I said, when I first read this chapter, I said in my last video, when I first read the spoilers for this chapter, I was actually kind of disappointed because the sun god Nika, as far as we know, is not a actual mythological creature. Oda kind of just created that for the sake of the story, and it felt kind of cheap. It felt like kind of a cop-out, like I'm just gonna make up this god that's super powerful that can be Luffy's devil fruit, and that'll just be it. Whereas with every other mythical devil fruit that we've ever seen, it's always based on an actual mythological creature from our real world. Dragons, the nine-tailed fox, a phoenix, the Buddha, right? And so for Oda to just create a new god and say, oh yeah, that's Luffy's fruit, it's super powerful, it felt like a little bit of a cop-out. However, after going and doing some research, I realized that this is actually one of the best moves by Oda that I think I've ever seen. And the reason why is because it's Oda doing something that I think he's planned on doing for a while. And I think it's something that's very symbolic and very unique, not just to his writing style, but also to One Piece in general. It's especially in the world of shonen, right? If you think about what makes One Piece different from so many other shonen, it's the fact that it's so comedic, right? It doesn't take itself too seriously at all. You can see that in the way that Oda draws the characters. You can see it in the dialogue. You can see it in so many different aspects of this series. And I really think having Luffy's devil fruit be what it is and do what it does was a perfect sort of cherry on top of the uniqueness of One Piece, what really makes One Piece what it is. And I think it's a very symbolic gesture on Oda's part, and I think it really speaks a lot to him as a writer and who he is and what he appreciates from not just manga, but from comics, from cartoons, from anime, from all of it. And I think you have to remember Oda started writing the story when he was still a kid. So it makes perfect sense when you think about it. So as we dive into Luffy's devil fruit and what it actually is, it'll start to make more and more sense. So Luffy's devil fruit, like I said, is the Hito Hito no Mi model sun god Nika. What the sun god Nika is a little vague. A lot of people have speculated that it's based on a Olmec god. The Olmecs were an ancient South American group of people. They had first of all, it's also important that, number one, Oda has said in I think it was in SBS, that if Luffy was human, if he was in our world, he would be Brazilian. Brazil is actually where rubber trees are, right? The trees that produce the sap that is used to make latex. Yeah, and rubber as we know it. So I think it's pretty clear that a lot of Luffy's design is based on actual mythological god. However, if you look at some of Luffy's behavior and his powers in general, I think it's actually pretty clear that Luffy is meant to represent cartoons, right? If you read the chapter, you see that when Luffy grabs Kaido, Kaido's like eyes pop out of his skull. When Kaido shoots the Boro breath at Luffy, his eyes pop out and it goes like a classic cartoon. And when Luffy first grabs Kaido and pulls him up to the roof, he does the thing where he smashes him back and forth, which is like super Looney Tunes classic, like old school cartoon fighting. And what I actually ended up doing was I did a little bit of research, and it turns out that those cartoons, the original sort of wacky animated cartoons, are actually called rubber hose animation. So think about that for a second. So part of the sun god Nika's powers are that his body has the properties of rubber, which is exactly what makes rubber hose animation what it was, is because the characters would move as if their bodies were made of rubber. And if you go back and you watch some of those old cartoons like Felix the Cat, the old like Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff like that, you'll see that the way that it's drawn and the way that it's animated, the characters' bodies move very fluidly. They don't have very stiff sort of angular joints, right? Their bodies do behave in a very flexible, loose, and sometimes even stretchy manner, which is why it was dubbed rubber hose animation. And in addition to that, the animation style was known for being super over the top and exaggerated, and it featured action scenes and fight scenes and things like that would defy the laws of physics, that would defy the laws of time, right? Any natural laws that we had to deal with in the real world, they were not subject to. The cartoons didn't have to follow any of that law, any of that logic. They could do literally whatever they want. The actions of a cartoon were only limited by the imagination of the writer. And that is exactly what Luffy's powers are. Some of the scenes were like, the Bugs Bunny or the Roadrunner, like the Roadrunner would draw a tunnel, or I'm sorry, the Wile E. Coyote would draw a tunnel for the Roadrunner, and on a wall, and the Roadrunner would come and just run through it. And then Wile E. Coyote is like, what the hell? And he tries to do it, and it's an actual wall again. So it's like stuff like that. Those types of things are going to be Luffy's actual powers. Him grabbing the ground, right, and deflecting Kaido's Boro breath. He basically turns the ground into rubber. So he has the ability to manipulate things around them, manipulate himself, and manipulate other people to behave in that cartoonish and over the top and wacky sort of manner as a rubber hose cartoon. And in addition to that, I also did a little bit of research on the time frame of rubber hose cartoons, and it turns out that a lot of them actually started to pop up around the time of the American Great Depression. So if you go back and you watch some short cartoons from that era, you'll see that a lot of them would depict really realistic environments and things like that, like slums of the US, or different areas that were sort of impoverished or dealing with basically the Great Depression, and there would be a character who would be wacky and wild and cartoonish and over the top that would come and kind of just bring a much more lighthearted and sort of joyous and innocent vibe that would basically change the whole narrative of the story, right? It no longer became about this depression, and it became about happiness. It became about joy and laughter, and it made you able to laugh through what was probably a very difficult time in people's lives. And I think in essence, that's what cartoons, that's what animation, that's what manga, that's what TV, like all of that's what it does for us. And I think that's what it does for Oda. And I think he's using this story, and I think he knows that this story has had the same effect on other people in the past, and he wants to really personify what that is in the form of Luffy and in the form of Luffy's Devil Fruit and the sun god Nika. And he said multiple times, or it's been said multiple times in the story, that Nika's one of his main traits was to bring joy and to bring laughter wherever he went, and to liberate people. It doesn't necessarily say from what. We know that the sun god Nika liberated slaves, but even Joy Boy was a liberator, right? So that idea of liberation could be physical, or it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be the freedom from the shackles of depression or from whatever your circumstances are that you're facing. And I think that's exactly what the world of animation does for us, is that it through the imagination and through escapism, we are able to experience other forms of reality, other worlds, other things besides what we are actually dealing with on a daily basis, right, in our real lives. And that's what Luffy's powers are. he's excuse me, I'm a little stick. He's actually like basically the personification of the joy of cartoons and the freedom of the imagination. So I'm super pumped to see what happens forward. This is going to be a quick one because I'm going to make some more videos on this later on. I know I always say that there's more videos, but there are, I promise. But yeah, man, please feel free to discuss further in the comments. I'll be going back and forth and replying to people's comments today. Please make sure to subscribe if you like these videos, and make sure to hit a like button for me. It'll help the channel grow and help me hopefully be able to start collaborating with some other YouTube One Piece content creators. So yeah, sun god Nika, he's back.